Welcome back to the Grand Solar Minimum channel. Today is Wednesday, September 11th, 2019. Let's take a look at our space weather conditions currently. Right now our solar wind speeds are actually low for the first time in a while, down to 398.7 kilometers per second. The density is getting a little thicker at 3.1. Taking a look at our sun, it is blank right now. We do not have any reported sunspots to report at this time. That is now 8 days in a row without sunspots, 177 days in 2019 without sunspots. Our KP indice is sitting at a 1, and our 24-hour max is sitting at a 2. The TSI has cooled just a little bit to 4.02. It was at 4.07. But as solar wind has died down, less particles are bombarding the magnetic field, therefore definitely not heating up the upper atmosphere as we normally would see during increased solar winds. The next solar wind stream event is actually expected on the 17th of September, somewhere between the 17th and the 18th, as there is a coronal hole in the southern region of our star that we should see effects from right around the 17th or the 18th of September. So that's still about 6 to 7 days out. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at TSI. This is a reading from September 3rd, 2019. It came in at 1360.6713. So quickly before we move on, I just want to kind of go over this again because we were dealing with Hurricane Dorian on the 2nd and the 1st of September, and you see the TCI dropping down to 1360.6. We also had a sunspot, which that sunspot right there shows you how weak it was if it only dipped down to 1360.6. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because back in 2017, we had a quiet summer of solar activity, and then all of a sudden the sun erupted, giant large X-flares, coronal holes, CMEs, sunspots, you name it. And they also helped fuel the hurricanes in 2017, Irma being one of them that I can think of, Maria, the other devastating hurricane as well. So we talk about solar activity and cosmic rays affecting the atmosphere. And, you know, I remember folks claiming the reason why we were not heading into a grand solar minimum is because that September produced so much solar activity. Fast forward to 2 years and look at what happened this September, okay? End of August, early September, just like 2017, we start to get a flurry of action. But the difference is that this action is nowhere near as strong as what we saw in the 2017. So what I'm getting at is that each time we get to certain points of the year and we expect solar activity, it gets weaker and weaker by the year. And this is just an example here. Yes, we saw strong activity 2 years ago in September. This year, not as strong. Minor sunspot, couple of G1 storms, G2 storms. That's really it. We're not having the active month that we had back in 2017. So just thought I'd point that out. And before we get into tonight's articles, I want to go ahead and check our radar really quick because we have a couple of areas of concern right now. If you live near Iona, Michigan, outside of Grand Rapids, you are under a tornado warning at this time and need to seek shelter. Here's a take a look at the live radar right now here in Michigan. Let's see if we can get her going again. Here we go. So again, tornado warning just outside of Grand Rapids, and we can see this band of storms that's coming across the Great Lakes. Here it is. And that is the storm they believe that cell is strong enough to create a tornado. So we have a tornado warning in Grand Rapids, Iona, Michigan, and then we have two more tornado warnings. These are in Nebraska, and we are talking about Hyannis and just outside of Rushville and Alliance. I wish I had exact cities what the tornado warnings, but for those of you who are Nebraska and familiar with this area, These areas are northwest of Kearney, several hours, but let's go ahead and take a look at the full-size radar, and I'll get the, let's show you the area here that we're talking about here. But you guys can already see this line of storms, just like the one that came across the Great Lakes. We are also witnessing storm line that is strong enough to come across and cause tornadoes, possibly. I just lost my spot. That happens. So again, tornado warning in Nebraska. And that's probably why, because I'm kind of scroll the map up here, folks. I apologize. The computer's acting a little glitchy here. Let's zoom back in. All right, now that we're in the right state. So here is Kearney, Nebraska. Right here. And up here in the area, this is the counties that we're watching right now for tornado warnings. Tornado watches across these counties here, and also severe thunderstorm watches and warnings across Nebraska. And these storms are heading northeast, but watch these lines merge. So lots of activity to watch tonight, but I just wanted to give a quick alert real fast that we are looking at some severe weather. Oh, also, any space weather around the bend at this point, there's that coronal hole. There's one in the negative 120 range, and we will see if that amounts to anything. Looks like an active region with the coronal hole with it, and a couple of active spots as well in the southern part of our start. Now, also, there is a coronal hole that's forming just off the eastern limb, and that is probably the coronal hole they're talking about as far as solar wind stream reaching our planet. All right, let's get into what we have for you tonight here on the Grand Solar Minimum channel. We'll start off here at thegrandssolarminimum.com. Mari has put together tonight's articles on our website. You guys want to check that out. Also, we've embedded the video, so later if you guys want to watch the video on our webpage while scrolling through the articles, that is what it's there for. All right, let's get right into it, guys. It's begun, the first snowfall of the season. That's right. Take a look at some pictures here. I really don't want to have her report here. Utah's first snowfall of the season is here. The snow fell on Bald Mountain in Uinta Mountains early Tuesday morning. Or is it Uinta? Uinta. I don't know. Sorry about that, Uinta, if I'm mispronouncing your town here in Utah. But anyway, this area is about 12,000 feet above sea level. 2 News meteorologist Lindsay Storrs forecasted Monday that the Utahns might see some snow overnight. To be exact, they got around 4 inches of snow. Campers need to be prepared for winter-like weather in the mountains over the next few days. Storrs said the Utahns should expect to see scattered thunderstorms and rain showers Tuesday and Wednesday in northern and central Utah. So interesting, but we got about 4 inches of snow again reported from parts of Utah up in the mountains. September 10th, I guess, will mark our first actual snowfall a little bit further into the lower 48. We've seen some light snowfall in Montana. Actually, I saw a Big Sky mountain in Montana. Big Sky Resort actually had some snowflakes yesterday, but this actually fell 1 inch to 2 inches of accumulating snow. It's a little bit different than just a little dusting here. And Villarrica volcano alert raised to an orange for the first time since 2015 in Chile. It says they've raised the alert for Villarrica volcano to orange September 9th on 2019 and shared evacuation maps showing different meeting points for each nearby community before a possible eruption. The last major eruption at Villarrica took place in 2015. The decision to raise the alert was made due to an increased seismicity and more turbulent lava lake. The exclusion zone anywhere from 1.2 miles around the crater was put in place. And this was on September 9th. Seismicity under the volcano started increasing around 3:30 UTC on September 8th. While meteorological clouds prevented direct observation of the crater, other signals registered by 13:30 UTC suggested the presence of lava near the surface and minor explosions around the crater. So in other words, this thing is getting ready to pop. And we haven't seen the eruption from this volcano since 2015. Let's see if we can find out what that eruption was like. The last major eruption was in 2015. Increased seismicity crater and explosions increased at the volcano on February 6, 2015, leading to an intense continuous strombolian activity at the beginning of March. This was followed by ejection of large volume of material, almost a mile tall lava fountains, and large lava flows. The eruptive plume rose up to about 26,250 feet above the crater and drifted about 250 miles east-northeast. The alert level was raised to red, the highest level on 4-color scale. So we've had a lot of talks privately, Mari and I, about volcanoes, and she actually brought this to my attention, how there are a few articles that are starting to surface about volcanoes that we need to be on the lookout for, and no one's watching them. And the article that Mara was trying to point out to me is that the amount of red tape that is involved at getting monitoring equipment to some of these locations is the reason why we don't know what's going on with places, say, like Mount Hood. But anyway, just like we've seen all year, more volcano news starting to pop off. Thanks to the Watchers.news. Teo does fine work over there. Our next story here, Typhoon Lingling killed 8 in North Korea, destroyed 460 houses and over 114,000 acres of farmland. We reported on this just earlier this week, actually. Typhoon Lingling has passed over the Korean Peninsula from September 6th to the 7th, killing at least 8 people in North Korea and 3 in South Korea. North Korean media encouraged citizens to mobilize over the weekend. Emergency response has begun in North Korea after Lingling hit the country, and workers have started repairing electricity networks that were affected by the storms. According to Korean Central News Agency, at least 5 people were killed, 460 houses were destroyed, and 15 public buildings also in that count. As we mentioned earlier, 114,000 of acres of farmland was also destroyed. 33 people received storm-related injuries in the country. According to the KBS, North Korean authorities tailed 8 casualties and reported damages and restoration efforts in unusually prompt manner, demonstrating a disaster management system vastly different from previous ones. Korean Central TV aired the extent of the damage in breaking news format and urged a speedy recovery. Lingling, the 5th strongest storm to ever strike South Korea, made landfall on September 7th, 2019, before moving towards the north with wind gusts of over 86 miles per hour. So, again, in Japan, officials have suspended railway and subway services, canceled flights to Tokyo airports as Faxai killed 2 people. Authorities also received reports of damage, torn trees, and blown off parts. Still over 900,000 people without power in Japan from Faxai. So we had Lingling, who killed 8 people. Faxai killed 2 people. South Korea also lost 3 lives from this storm. So considering these were very, I wouldn't say weak storms, but weaker than what we've seen over here lately, and we still have loss of life, that's too many. Hopefully people understand when these warnings are given to evacuate or to prepare, that these government officials would not do so unless they felt it was an urgent message to deliver. That's kind of Captain Kirkish there. Thanks to Watchers.news once again, sudden stratospheric warming event above South Pole goes down as the strongest on record. Very rare SSW event continues unfolding in the South Pole. Looks like there's plenty of snow and ice. Don't worry, folks. This could go down in history as the strongest warming event on record. Adding the increase for southerlies in New Zealand into October. SSW events are rare in the Southern Hemisphere, only 2 in New Zealand in recorded times, one in September of 2002, and the other one was in September of 2010, which is also after a peak of a minimum. The Australian Bureau of Meteorology also predicting it is the strongest Antarctic warming on record, likely to exceed the previous record on September of 2002, when New Zealand experienced its coldest October in 20 years. Below average temperatures covered much of the country in 2002, resulting in a frequent ground frosts. 2010 SSW event, which is classified as a minor event, a number of rainfall records were broken with well below normal sunshine and very cold temperatures of parts of the South Island. So what are they saying? It's going to be cold in New Zealand and it's going to be wet. They are basing that prediction and that assumption on historic information. The stronger SSW that we've had, and this one here, if it's a record breaker, we're talking about record cold and snow in 2002 and 2010. And this is spring, guys. This is heading into their spring right now. It says, although we've seen plenty of weak or moderate variations in the polar vortex over the past 60 years, the only true sudden stratospheric warming event in the southern hemisphere, which was September 2002. These guys are repeating themselves. So basically, they're raising an alert here, folks. You know, you hear the words sudden warming in the stratosphere, and instantly you think, oh yeah, global warming. All that CO2 is rising up into the atmosphere and it's being trapped. Yeah, no, that's not what's happening here. Remember, where you have really hot temperatures, okay, it's going to be cold somewhere. And the cold temperature that's sitting in place with hot temperatures moving in, it pushes the cold temperatures away to a different spot, okay? It's not like these things just evaporate. So wherever it's really hot, it's going to be really cold somewhere else. Now, I've heard that this means a dry, warmer spring for Australia, but parts of New South Wales and New Zealand could possibly be experiencing much colder conditions to begin their spring, and also well above average with precipitation. So guys, remember the beast from the east when we had our SSW here in the northern part. This was back in 2018. This is back in the Arctic. And we had the beast from the east, which unleashed some hellish cold air and snows, deep snows. And actually, Tom, I didn't forget about you. I wanted to mention, too, that we're already experiencing deep snows in Europe as well, in Italy and other places throughout Europe at this time. But so already Europe is seeing heavy snow in certain spots in September in the northern hemisphere. All right, we're about to break out with some really cold weather in the southern hemisphere. And like I said, looking at the GFS temperatures, we see a bigger cooling trend coming at the end of September. No one wants you to believe that it's going to be well above average all month for the rest of the month. That's not what we're showing you here at the end of this program, that's for sure. So thanks again to Watchers.news for putting in accurate information. I invite everyone to come to this article, check it out, read the stats, read what happens when we see these sudden stratospheric warming events. It doesn't mean global warming. It doesn't mean the ice is melting. It just means somebody else is about to get some really cold air, and I don't want to be that person. So it's a good thing we're up here and not down there. All right, so let's continue to move on. We have some sad news to report tonight, and we knew this was coming. 2,500 people missing after destruction brought by Hurricane Dorian. A spokesman with the National Emergency Management Agency, Bahamas, confirmed September 11, 2019, that 2,500 people are now registered as missing. However, the number is likely to be much higher as there were many undocumented people living there. This is a public relations nightmare right now. You have undocumented people who are living in this area, particularly. You have 2,500 they have now admitted that are missing. Right now, they've only confirmed 50 dead. But Mari and I have talked about the possibility of the death toll being in the thousands. And that's what's happening, guys. These people that we showed you these videos the other day, you know, it's about, this island is not safe or sanitary for anyone right now. The smell from the bodies. There was a woman who told a story here that that they removed a body several days ago, and the body is still at the same spot where they drug it to be picked up. Like they're being communicated that help's going to be there to clean up, help get rid of the bodies, help start, you know, cleaning this up and searching for people, and that's not what's happening. So what a disaster. Dorian has been an absolute nightmare for these citizens of this island. Abaco, Marsh Harbor, parts of Freeport. I mean, again, this storm is still fresh in my mind. Just sitting here, I remember the weekend when it hit. Labor Day weekend was a 3-day weekend for a lot of us. And I think Mari and I spent the entire 3-day weekend glued to the radio broadcasts that were coming out of Nassau, Bahamas. And just listening to every story, every message, every request, and thinking to ourselves, you know, how terrifying this must have been. This event, this eye wall just stayed there on the island for several hours at a time, overnight into the day. And when it finally moved away, you're talking 4 or 5 miles an hour. It's not, you know, it wasn't moving very fast. It didn't really start picking up speed until it got to the Carolinas. But anyway, we'll leave the link in the website here from watchers.news. Again, the numbers for the death toll is starting to creep up a little bit more. Now they're just saying missing, but they're saying there's likely thousands more missing because of all the undocumented people that are on the island. All right, let's get to some climate news, shall we? Yeah, I got some goodies for you tonight, sort of. Let me go here real quick. Mari showed me a new t-shirt and I want it. It's at the bottom. All right, I'm scrolling down. By the way, Mari has made all of these shirts. Oh, I want the hoodie. So check it out. Just in time for fall, our newest to the family. You can get this as a hoodie or a t-shirt or a long sleeve. But right now, Mari just designed this, yesterday? Today? Cosmic Rays on the Rise. This could be yours. Now, guys, we've gotten several compliments, thank you notes from people who have ordered these shirts and hood and sweatshirts. And we got to say, everyone has been satisfied with the product. Now, I also have a Grand Solar Minimum t-shirt. I'm actually wearing it right now. Put it through the wash several times. This shirt is probably one of the most comfortable cotton t-shirts I've ever owned in my life. And I'm not just saying that because I run this channel. The print on the t-shirt is not like what you would think, how you see some of these shirts that are pressed in these t-shirt machines. I'm telling you, these are quality made, definitely worth the money, and been very happy with the product so far. And a lot of other people that we've talked to about our shirts, people are very satisfied. So there you go, Mari. There's my... there's a Christmas present right there you can get me. That's a pretty sweet looking hoodie. Thank you, Mari. So you're so kind, so good at this. Love it. She asked me for ideas, and I'm just like, let's put like a volcano.
My favorite's Cosmic Rays.
Volcano with the GSM logo.
The other Cosmic Rays.
Yes, with the stingrays.
Yes,
yeah.
But they're in outer space.
Outer space stingrays. 1,000 employees threaten to strike over lack of climate action. Yeah. So I'll let you guys read it. I'm going to tell you what I think is going on. Unfortunately, we're seeing this everywhere now. And what I mean, the Burger King has a new Whopper called the Impossible Burger. They're not asking, they're telling you to eat it. Amazon is now threatening to walk out and hurt their business and deliveries and their process of workflow. And what does that do to the consumer? product shows up late. Maybe it's something stupid and you don't need it. Maybe it's something that your business does need and you have to have it for work. The fact that there's 1,000 people that want to strike over lack of climate action. This is where I rant. And my complaint is, do you see how dangerous the global warming crowd is? They don't care if children are skipping school. They don't care if companies like Amazon have 1,000 workers that just walk out. They don't care that our food, we're being told that beef causes global temperature rise, and therefore we have to eat beef that's made out of plants. And also, by the way, a certain individual works at a certain alternative meat company, and he stands to make millions of dollars off of you eating the Impossible Burger at a certain burger joint, if you caught any of that. My point is that we're already starting to see some of these big corporations throwing their weight around, not even influencing, they're just putting it on us. That's it. Hey, we're gonna leave work because there's lack of climate action. The reason why there's lack of climate action is because the president and his advisory, his cabinet, basically has told him, hey, look, we got proof that shows otherwise. In the next year or two, this weather's going to prove our theory, and we're going to look stupid if we imply any of these Paris Climate Treaty goals and stuff like that. That's why you're seeing all these oil businesses reinvesting into big projects again, because they now know the truth. They now know, and I'll share another article about Exxon New type stuff. They've known for years that they don't contribute to climate change. They've always known this. But ever since 1989, when they figured out how to make money on this, how to tax people for it, how to scare people into paying for something that's not necessary but makes other people rich, that's what's happening right now with the man-made global warming crowd. The Green New Deal. Let's get rid of your Whopper. Let's get rid of the cows. So we get rid of the cows because the meat and all that and the methane. So we get rid of the cows and we don't have hamburger. And we don't have hamburger, then people don't have jobs at McDonald's or any of the other major restaurants that serve burgers. Oh, let me guess. They're going to get the burgers that are made from plants. Well, you got to be able to plant them in the ground. And during the grand solar minimum, things being planted in the ground aren't really going to work out that well. So honestly, let's keep the livestock. Let's keep the cattle going. Because not only are you taking beef out of the equation by taking and banning cows, now you're taking away your dairy, the cheese, the dairy, the milk, all the people that work in those industries. All right, people who make yogurt, that's over with, right? I mean, sure, there's all kinds of substitutes out there. I get that. We'll find a way to make something substitute for milk. But really, let's really think about the Green New Deal here. Let's ban the cows and let's see how many jobs farmers lose. Let's see how many farmers have to file bankruptcy because the cattle industry is pretty much being banned because of a silly idea that climate is controlled by what man does to it. And we showed you guys interview after interview today on our channel during our live streams about what impact man and CO2 has. Now, we're not denying that man doesn't inject CO2 into the atmosphere. What we're denying is that it has enough impact to change the climate. The actual impact that it has from us is around 0.004% of the atmosphere is made up of CO2. 1.3% of that 0.004 is from Australia. So I'm just giving you an example here of how minute our CO2 emissions are when you factor everything in with the atmosphere. And plus you throw in climate models with sun actually using in their climate models, they'll show you colder temperatures, they'll show you more precipitation. And that's why I believe weather.com, their forecasts have been right when it comes to long term. They're using their own independent research company that does consider the sun in their forecast models. And the reason why I know this is because last year, December, January, they were talking about why it was so cold in certain parts of the United States. The actual reason they gave was because of where we were in the solar cycle. No other weather channel anywhere, AccuWeather, Weather Nation, none of them would ever put something like that on their website. Not even NOAA. Well, actually, NOAA has it. NOAA has the truth hidden on their website. They'll tell you that the sun is the climate driver, and that if the cosmic ray theory was true, which we are believing that it is true with all the research papers that have come out and the physical proof that we're looking at right now, they do admit, NOAA does, that it would have a significant impact on our climate if the cosmic ray theory is true. Well, guess what, NOAA? You're ready to eat those words. But anyway, just another example of how corporate America, who are controlled by the richest of the rich and who are only interested in lining their pockets, because I'm sure the owner of Amazon, who also bought Whole Foods last summer, that's the #1 food company online, or organic food anyway. So this guy is in control of your food, he's in control of your product, and now he's going to control the flow of your product by threatening a strike with his employees because we're not doing enough to fight off climate change. And oh, by the way, I'm sure there's a big deal. There's probably a lucrative contract involved for Amazon when it comes to playing by the rules of the Paris Climate Treaty. So we'll see how this turns out. But just another, in my opinion, just another group of people looking for a reason to get out of work or school. I invite all of you, if you're listening, people that are considering to be a part of this strike, hopefully you're listening to this right now, go to the grandsolarminimum.com. Not only does it have information that Mari has put on there, but we also use resources that everyone can go to. We leave links to the websites, we leave links to the cooling papers, we leave links to all the maps. This information on our website is for everyone to go look at and make up your own mind. And I'm pretty sure what we have put together for you guys is pretty convincing that the sun drives the climate. Forget about Ice Age, okay? Let's forget about Ice Age for a minute. I know that so many people that really are against channels like this is because they think that everyone says we're talking about, Ice Age is not going to happen in our lifetime. None of us are going to be alive to see the next Ice Age. I'll say it right now. Are we going to experience a really cold epic? Absolutely. John Casey talked about in his book Upheaval and Cold Sun. Other people as well. Valentina Zarkova has clarified it once again. She did it in 2017 by telling us we were going into a grand solar minimum. And then once again, this past June, when she talked about her paper with us, and that we are now heading into a grand solar minimum 2020. I'm not going to lie. Before this year, I was kind of on the fence about when exactly the grand solar minimum was really going to kick in. I was actually on the bandwagon for a little bit, not very long, but for a little bit. I was on the bandwagon that it possibly was going to be in solar cycle 26 and not 25. But when you look at what NASA scientists released this year, talking about this being the lowest active solar cycle in over 200 years, that's the one, connect the dots. Number 2 was Valentina Zarkova's paper being accepted by Nature.com the same week that announcement was made by NASA. So there's strike 2. All right. Strike 3 is just watching this event unfold right before our eyes. And I keep saying we're only in the beginning and that people should obviously 2028 and 2030, which would be the beginning of the next solar cycle 26, is going to be the worst, I believe, of what's to happen during a grand solar minimum. That's when we could really see some serious cold, some serious precipitation. And I know a lot of you are listening to this program like, what are you talking about? We're already seeing it. And I'm telling you, this is just the beginning. It's not going to get better anytime soon. And I hate to be that guy, but it's the truth. It's probably why we continue to get demonetized, because nobody wants to talk about the sun. It's not convenient, right? BBC solar panels, thousands of complaints. I only picked this article out tonight because I always talk about the complaints of solar panels here in the States, but now we're getting some from our friends across the seas. It says thousands of people who bought solar panels have complained to a financial watchdog that they are not bringing them the returns they were promised. And oh, by the way, old Michael Moore made a movie about the empty promises that this green campaign is promising the public. Many people took out loans to pay for panels on the promise they would save thousands of pounds in electricity cost and make money generating power. They say they have not had the expected savings, And the Financial Services Ombudsman has had about 2,000 complaints. Barclays Bank has put aside 38 million euros to deal with the potential claims. Brian Thompson from Rowlands Gill, Gateshead, told BBC Inside Out that he was contacted by a salesman for PV Solar UK, but told him he did not want to take a loan on as he was preparing for retirement. He said that he was told the move would provide him money towards his pension, which persuaded him, and then he took out a loan with Barclays for more than 10,000 euros over 10 years. Mr. Thompson said the payments he was getting back from the power his solar panels sent to the national grid did not correspond with what he was told. I had to dip into my savings, he says, which I was putting away for retirement to pay off the loan. To me, it was all lies. Oh, yeah? An independent survey of Mr. Thompson's system showed that even after 20 years of income from the panels would not cover the cost of the loans. Barclays offered him some compensation, but Mr. Thompson said it was not enough. PV Solar UK went into liquidation in 2017. Robert Skillen, who was the director of the firm when Mr. Thompson bought his system, said Mr. Thompson's panels would make him money. Mr. Skillen is now in business claiming to help people who have been missold on the solar panels. He doesn't want to be interviewed. That's gold right there, folks. Robert Skillen, who was a director of the firm when Mr. Thompson bought his system, that told him he was going to make money from this. Now Mr. Skillen is working for a business that claims to help people who have been misled about solar panels. Talk about calling the kettle black. Good grief. I mean, is this real? These people switching sides right in front of our faces, and we're supposed to... This should be an example right here, guys. This is a huge example. This guy switched teams. He went from, you're going to save a lot of money and make a lot of money with these solar panels. Now he's on that, oh my God, I can't believe you fell for that. We're going to get those bastards for telling you you're going to make all this money, and this was just a waste because all the cloud coverage and the lack of solar, and it didn't pan out, did it? Oh, even 20 years of the loan, it still wouldn't be paid off with income from these panels. How about that? That's scary. That's really, really scary when you could switch teams like that. When it's that kind of... And people are using their retirement to think, you know what? I'm going to be smart. I'm going to jump on this green technology, install these panels, have them hooked up to the grid. Meanwhile, I'll save money on electricity, and the power company is going to pay me. I'm a genius. And that's what these salesmen led these people to believe. Now there's over 2,000 complaints, just like here in the United States, where people are just up and abandoning these solar panels. Walmart and Amazon, they're suing Elon Musk because of fires that started on their locations because of unmaintenanced panels. Even the ones that are de-energized were still sparking fires. That tells you we got some problems with the equipment, folks. Big time. And if you follow this channel and you know that total solar irradiance is going to continue to decline, how in the world are we supposed to produce enough electricity from the sun when the output is less, cloud coverage has increased, and now we're heading into fall and winter, which now the days will be shorter, the nights will be longer. But yet you're going to make money off of having solar panels. Oh, and by the way, hopefully there's no hailstorms, okay? Because your panels will be destroyed. Sure, put them on your homeowner's insurance. Go ahead and turn in a claim, pay that $1,000 deductible, and then next month receive your homeowner's insurance where the rate jumps up over $100 easily, maybe more, a month. So again, solar and wind, part of that Green New Deal bullcrap, man, it is going to kill us. I mean, it's going to put us in the poorhouse if we really are forced to do these things to our homes like they do in California. They're forcing everyone that builds a new home in California to install these panels on their homes because they're doing their part in fighting climate change. What are they going to do next year? And I say that because, man, I got some shocking stuff to show you guys tonight on our farm report. Kamala Harris lied about hashtag Exxon New lies. Fact check. Kamala Harris misled America on Exxon News, September 5th, 2019. Climate activists are calling out presidential candidate Kamala Harris for saying on national television that she had sued ExxonMobil at last night's, or as of this article, CNN's Climate Forum. In the midst of pandering to climate activists, Senator Harris falsely claimed that she had sued ExxonMobil, but the climate activists that had pushed her to do just that were the quickest to call her out on her lie. Whoops. For the record, Harris never sued ExxonMobil. Several biased media outlets said she did when she served as California's Attorney General because they were trying to make it seem like there was momentum in the Exxon Noon campaign, but she never did. Her successor, Xavier Becerra, has also declined to open an investigation, even when he was threatened by a primary challenger who campaigned on the issue. Goes without saying that even if she had investigated ExxonMobil, she would have been hard pressed to find anyone to prosecute them over. The original Exxon News reporting had been thoroughly debunked by editorial boards, legal scholars, and us. That's cute. Yes, I would consider what's up with that credible. In addition to disappointing climate activists, Harris also unlikely to gain support from any American who supports affordable, reliable, clean, burning energy. There's no question, she says, I'm in favor of banning fracking, she said at the CNN forum, adding that she's prepared to get rid of filibuster to pass the Green New Deal. Put the brakes on. Clicking on the hazard lights right now. Are you kidding me? To threaten to push the nuke button to prepare this country for the Green New Deal. She is willing to get rid of the filibuster. Now, this is a move that is sought as the unspoken. It's not written anywhere, but there are no circumstances that really, it's just a gentleman's and ladies' agreement that the filibuster will never go away. That's just not right, because when the Republicans were not the majority and the Democrats were, there was talk that the Democrats might do it, and then the script flipped, and then the Republicans were talking about doing it. But here's the thing about getting rid of the filibuster. The one thing that I give the conservatives respect for is that they were actually going to do it when Obama was in office. And one of the long-term Republican senators stepped up and says, no, we're not getting rid of the filibuster, because we're going to be here in 4 more years complaining that another Democratic president or Democratic Senate has done the same to us. It's not fair. We don't want people to do it to us, so we can't do it to them. And it's just it's an ethics thing to keep that filibuster there. But to hear people like Kamala Harris, who want to eliminate the filibuster to pass a deal that would destroy the economy, whatever thriving you're doing right now, if you vote Democrat in 2020, you better just kiss all that goodbye. You better build a bunker and hide your cash and hide your assets and your guns, because they're coming for all of that, especially when the Green New Deal comes through. So I don't want to get too political here. This is a great article. I invite everyone to come to our website and read the evidence on why they were never sold or never sued, and how Kamala Harris is lying, and about all these climate activists that are catching her in the lie. And it's kind of funny to me that they're catching her in the lie. Let's see here. Each day, Humble supplies enough energy. The giant glacier has remained unmelted for centuries, yet the petroleum energy Humble supplies it converted into heat could melt at the rate of 80 tons each second. Just some more fear porn. I mean, that's what they were saying back then in the day in 62. Nothing changed. Look at that. Showing before and after pictures. Nothing changed. We're not melting anything. Check it out, guys. Good article. What's up with that? Like always. Climate debates, articles, stuff like that. Good stuff. Climate Town Hall was a setup for the far left. Now, this one's interesting. I found this article on the Federalist. And let's get into the meat of this. By now, commentators have responded to CNN's September 4th Clown Hall is a twilight zone, which, by the way, I called it a clown hall as well. Worthy sign bites of Bernie Sanders advocated funding abortion to abroad or abortion abroad for population control. I thought that was disgusting, by the way. That's going to help climate change because there's less people, I guess. Kamala Harris's war on straws, and Joe Biden exploding blood vessel. In the midst of the 7th-hour ode to Stormageddon, there were here and there some interesting nuggets, such as one attendant who confronted Biden on his vow not to accept fossil fuel donations while appearing one event before at a fundraiser thrown by a fossil fuel investor, which, while none of the candidates offered an original take on the topic, some appeared more competent or honest than others. Senator Booker admitted he was not well versed enough to comment on geoengineering and maintained that nuclear energy has to be part of an alternative energy blend in order to realistically replace fossil fuels. Okay, that's fine. He's the first Democrat that actually says let's use nuclear. All right, we're on the right track with this one. Maybe there's hope for him. Who knows, right? I doubt it. Low ratings, blah, 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 this and that. But let's go into this here. All right, here we go. So these are the people that were asking the questions, all right? Katie Etter is an executive director of Future Coalition. She appeared on the Young Turks Network contributor John Idarola's Damage Report. Future Coalition is a group of 25 youth organizations that includes Sunrise Movements. By the way, these are climate change activists. It just says Executive Director, Future Coalition. Isaac Larkin, PhD, candidate of Northwestern University, says he's also been identified by the Real News and Gizmodo as Sunrise volunteer. CNN merely identified him as a doctoral candidate at Northwestern University. And this guy right here has, how can we already talked about that. John Cecil is a vice president of New Jersey Audubon Society. Audubon is an activist organization that has given Sunrise glowing coverage. Do you see what's going on here? Nicole Carty is an executive team member and lead trainer of Momentum Sunrise Incubator, but on CNN, she was labeled simply as a progressive activist. Guys, what are they doing here? First of all, these activists are scratching the backs of these politicians and giving them these softball-type questions and concerns that basically these guys are hitting the ball off the tee and taking it out of the park. That's how. And CNN is helping cover up this lie by mislabeling these people. Nancy Romer is a retired professor at Brooklyn College and a climate activist who published an endorsement of Sunrise Movement, the Sunni Clarion. She has been on the steering committee of the People's Climate Movement in New York, a partner with Sunrise parent group 350.org. But they just put her as climate activist. They don't let you know that these people that are up here talking to these candidates, they're all both on the same page. There's no real debate happening here. These are people asking questions of the people they're going to vote for. These are softball questions. They were all fed to them. And CNN helped pretty much promote the lie, covering up the truth. Look at all these examples of people that were used. Sunrise Movement trading fellow. This person here, where else? She's also an organizer at Columbia U, Barnard College. They don't want to list anything that has huge credentials because then it would look obvious that these activists were actually just here to help make these Democratic candidates look like they care about climate change, when in fact these people are here to scratch their backs. And CNN, they are the ones that are trying to make you believe this lie. Like these are just regular old people out there just looking for answers. It's sad. It's sad. And there's so many people who believe CNN and CBS and NBC and MSNBC and all the other lying media out there. There's a lot of hate towards the president. And on top of the hate towards the president, that's not even the part that I'm upset about. The part I'm upset about is the continuing of reporting fake news about everything, about the climate, about the rainforest, about the hurricanes. about why we're seeing the floods. They're telling you it's global warming. They're telling you that sea level rise is on the increase. When NOAA themselves comes out and tell you, and this is the only time I'll quote NOAA in a positive way, but they're even telling us that NOAA says that we only gain sea rise level of 1/8 of an inch per year. I think you guys get the hint here. CNN, and their book of lies. Their channel of lies. Yeah, anyway, again, I love how they try to set this up as that these are just average, everyday people who care about the climate, when indeed these folks know what the hell they're talking about when it comes to this global warming bullcrap and debating. And these people that are on stage obviously have no idea what they're talking about. All right, suitable days for work. All that's misleading. And I say that because corn percent mature. This chart right here has me very, very concerned. Colorado, previous year is at 7% at this time. Again, we had a rough year last year, not as bad as this one, but a rough one. Colorado especially, they flooded out with all the snowpack, all the rain. They're at 2% right now. 5-year average is 7%, so that's usual for them to be low. But let's talk about Illinois. 53% this time last year. We're sitting at 8%. Last week we were at 2%, so maturing a little bit. The 5-year average for this time of the year is 35%. Indiana, just as bad, 8% right now, 38% last year at this time, 26% 5-year average. Iowa, 17% 5-year average, but only at 4% right now. Previous year we were sitting at 26%. The biggest one right now, I think, is probably Ohio. Last year was at 24%. This year we're sitting at 4%. The 5-year average is 17%, but still, it's very, very, very low right now. Last week was 1%, and we only saw maturity of the corn crops go up by 3%. Wisconsin, I don't mean to be negative, but it's not looking good for any kind of harvest, if you ask me. That you're making ethanol and animal feed right now. 0%. 0% mature crop in Wisconsin. 0 last week. 19% last time this year. 11% 5-year average. Again, Texas, best state out there. Even Texas, though, is down. It's at 58% maturity. Last year it was at 71%. The 5-year average is 68%. Guys, the numbers don't lie. PA, up from last year. That's one state. South Dakota, 2% right now. 27% last year this time. 14% 5-year average. Wow. North Carolina, you're looking good. You're looking good, baby. So thank you, North Carolina, Tennessee, and parts of Texas. Michigan, very, very, very concerning. 0%. Last week, 0%. This week, 12% last year this time. Minnesota, 15% this time last year. 1% right now. 0% last week. A 5-year average of 8%. Missouri, this one's concerning. 5-year average is 47%. Right now, we're sitting at 15%. This is probably the biggest drop from last year. Last year, we were at 64% matured crop for corn. And we're at 15% right now. Now, it did jump up from last week. But these temperatures are not going to stay warm for too much longer, guys. South Dakota, also another very concerning area. 27% last year this time, only at 2% right now. 0% last week. 14% for the 5-year average. I think the worst state, though, right now has got to be, well, Nebraska. They're not doing too good. 9% matured. 20% this time last year. They're down 11%. And they're only off 9% for their 5-year average. But next week, those numbers go up too. Remember that, folks. Next week's numbers will be higher for that 5-year average and for that maturity percentage. So some of the places like Michigan and Minnesota and Missouri and Ohio and Indiana and Illinois, those numbers are going to look even worse at this point. Especially Michigan. You guys are getting bombarded with storms here lately. So I can't imagine if you're getting any hail. If you're getting tornado warnings and stuff like that, you're getting hail. I can only imagine what it's doing to the crops. But again, I think Missouri is the biggest state of concern right now in our agriculture. When you're looking at the maturity of corn right now compared to what it was last year this time, that's staggering. And this part of our broadcast goes out to all you folks out there. I can tell you a guy I was friends with in high school says, we'll have Indian summer. It'll be warm all the way September and parts of October. We'll be fine. The crops will do just fine. Yeah, I don't see it, bud. I don't see it, especially in Ohio, Indiana, Illinois. Missouri joins that party. Michigan, bad. Wisconsin, bad. South Dakota, North Dakota, bad. Wisconsin, already said that. Nebraska, not in good shape. Very few states I can talk about good. Kentucky, somewhat. Kansas, it's down. It's only 28% good. Last year was 47%. The 5-year average around this time of year is 40%. So they're still down, but better in shape than others. Iowa still in bad shape. Down 22% from last year. Down 13% from their 5-year average. Absolutely crazy. All right, let's take a look at some weather. I showed you guys this. Oh, Patreon. Folks, Saturday night, we're going to do a call-in show. For those of you who are already members at our Patreon channel, congratulations. You will receive an email with the call-in phone number. You guys will have access to the call-in show. This is in a pilot series right now. We're trying this out. Anybody who joins Patreon between now and Saturday afternoon, say by 4 p.m., you'll receive an email that will give you instructions on how to call in on the show. If you would like to call us and talk to us about what you're doing to prepare, whether it's growing, canning, whatever, we'd like to hear from you. We'd like to hear from all of our subscribers on what they plan to do with the upcoming Grand Solar Minimum. Just really, we're right on the doorstep of it right now. Take a look at live satellite images here. Let's go to Mike's weather page, because there is some tropical weather we got to watch. That Invest 95 is starting to agree that it's going to make some kind of a landfall. It was first thought that it was going to go into the Gulf. Now it looks like it's going to be crossing Miami, most models. But again, this is not a hurricane at this time. This is just Invest 95. There is no actual hurricane warning out yet or anything like that. It is still trying to get its act together. But I'll tell you something. Looking at this image right here, over just the past couple of hours, it is starting to look like it's trying to develop and organize here. So we will keep our eyes on this one. But there's another storm that we're watching, interestingly enough. Let's go over here to our GFS, and boy, do the models change on a daily basis. All right. Here we go, Thursday. Lots of rain again, South Dakota, Nebraska, thunderstorms, severe weather going across Minnesota, showers, storms through Wisconsin and Michigan again, before finally getting some rain across the Ohio Valley into Indiana, Illinois, Missouri, Oklahoma, into the Panhandle of Texas. There's that Invest storm down there in Florida. Right now, it looks like it's just going to be, and let me move this up. It looks like it's just going to be a rain event at this point. It doesn't look like any kind of hurricane force winds of any kind will be affecting that region. All right, so let's move this model forward here. That low pressure system does make land shore at some point on the Gulf side of things. And high pressures in the northeast, and so that traps all the moisture in the south. Notice that we're not seeing that hurricane that we were seeing. Once again, the GFS decides to just take it off the board altogether. The last couple broadcasts we've had, we've shown this storm come up through the Gulf, and now this thing is still making, one thing that I have noticed, this low pressure system here. Let's watch it. Nope, not that. This right here, it almost reminds me, this low pressure that comes on shore here and gets a lot of rain up at the East Coast, kind of reminds me of what that storm looked like in the models. You see that low pressure right there over Tennessee and Kentucky? As we move forward, this thing acts just like what we were tracking before with the heavy rain heading up towards upstate New York, New Hampshire, Connecticut, Maine. And hopefully that's it. Hopefully. Look at that behind it, guys. September 27th. big cold front coming through there. Look at that. Let's take a look at a couple different models. Let's not give up here. Let's see if it shows up on the 12Z. Again, this is good news. If they're taking, and the 12Z is still showing this storm now. The 12Z I don't like. 12Z I don't like. It's got this thing heading up through the Bahamas again. Coming in from the south. We've already seen one model that shows this. So, Marsh Harbor, Boco, again, that storm, very weak. Not even a Category 1 hurricane. But still, rain and wind, that area does not need any kind of storm. So the 12Z has this thing going up the east coast and the northeast, bringing heavy rain to Maine, and Maine only. And then it gets up into Canada and fades away. That's the 12Z. There's that big cold front coming right below it. Let's take a look at the 6. So the 6 looks like it's going to keep the integrity of this hurricane. So the 6Z does have this thing coming up through the Gulf. Let's take a look at it. Move it forward. 23rd. Again, the way this thing is shaped on GFS, it has me to believe that this is going to be a very fast-moving storm, very similar to Irma. Very quick-moving, heavy rain, though. Look at that. Lots of heavy rain up the east coast and into the northeast. So this storm is keeping the same track that we've seen over the past couple of days. That tells us that we're going to see rain in western New York. Tons of it. Syracuse. And then look at the intensity of this snowstorm from all that cold air in Canada, just on the border here, guys, not too far away from us. Let's take a look at the worst case scenario model. See what they have for us. They definitely have a storm, but where is it going is the question. And this is like hurricane hunters at its finest. Low pressure hitting the Gulf. The zero model has this thing very disorganized, stalling out near Florida. Now this is interesting. This model has it actually gaining organization right before it gets to Miami, but this front also carries it out to the middle of the sea. So all 4 models show something different, but the 06 model is consistent from what we've showed over the past several days. Now let's take a look at some temperatures. And I really don't want to go into, we've already talked about temperatures Monday night. So let's go over briefly. We know we're going to be warm between now and say the 18th or 19th of September. Most of the South into the Midwest starts to heat up. Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, Missouri, Iowa in the 70s and 80s. Here on the 12th, that heat starting to stay down south a little bit more, and temperatures begin to cool by this weekend across the Central Plains, across the Ohio Valley. Once we get past Sunday, well, I lied. Monday stays in the 80s. So when is that cool air from Canada coming down finally? September 17th. Majority of the Central Plains in the 80s and 90s. Good stuff for the farmers out there. But after the 17th, 18th, still hot. And then we start to see that colder air come in the Northwest, September 20th. 92 degrees in the northern part of Oklahoma, 75 degrees in the central Kansas. That's the kind of temperature contrast we're going to see, but look at that front. So our first freeze possible in Colorado, Wyoming, Montana, Utah, again, and this is surface, guys. This ain't mountainous here. The 20th, high temperatures in the 70s and 80s, cooling down big time in Nebraska, Kansas, North Dakota, South Dakota, Iowa, Missouri, Minnesota. Go to the 21st, even a bigger cool down. 50s and 60s, hell, 49 degrees, Matt and McCook. Watch out. And then we get to the 22nd, freezes all over Colorado and Wyoming. The rest of the United States, that heat is just being confined to the south. Now the Midwest is looking at 60s and 70s. Here's September 22nd. 40s and 50s, highs in other spots in the Northwest. Look at this cold front. 50s and 60s and 70s. That's probably going to be the most beautiful day in the entire country as far as weather. 60s and 70s throughout most of the spots. Some places recording 50s. Florida, you're staying hot. The Southwest, you're staying hot. Phoenix, Southern California. September 24th, more cold air coming in from, these are daytime highs in Toledo, Ohio, 50 degrees for daytime highs. Upstate New York, 61. Again, these are fall-like temperatures. But as we get towards the end of this model run, we start to see that cold air. Oh boy. Trying to warm up again in the south, but that cold front is way too strong. I mean, this is the overnight lows on September 27th. This is not what people wanted to see, especially those in agriculture. Wisconsin's already got a bad crop. You're going to get your first freeze, a hard freeze, by the way, 28 degrees, 27 degrees, 29 in parts of Minnesota, St. Cloud, Sioux Falls, near 30. This is September 27th. Daytime highs across farm country, 40s and 50s. The heat is ridging on the East Coast and the South, and that's it. These are daytime highs for September 27th, folks. And we're starting to see freezing temperatures in each model as we get closer and closer towards the end of February, or end of September, February, my goodness. I hope it's not February already. It's pretty hot out if it's February. So, lots to look at here with hurricanes, more moisture to the northern plain states, the Great Lakes in severe weather right now, the Northeast getting showers, the South is going to stay wet. Just lots to watch here. Space weather, Earth climate weather. Very, very, very busy for, in my opinion, for the summer. We've had lots to talk about over the summer, and we're now starting to get into the colder weather, which I have a feeling we're going to be talking about a lot of records being broken, the cold weather category and snowfall. So that being said, I've got nothing else. Mari, did you want to say hello? She is under the weather, folks, so give it up for our Mari.
Let me get closer to the mic. I've been coughing and sniffling like crazy. People in the chat are wonderful. They are suggesting all different things for me to consume to try to beat it. And some of it's the hard stuff, Jake. I have a Ricola. I made Cheryl laugh. Ricola. Anyway, I know. Yeah. You know, we have the King of Truth. King of Truth is in the chat. I just want to say hi, Logan.
Minivan!
Hi, Logan. We were talking about censorship in the boob tube and all that. And he says we should start Jake Tube.
Hey, I'm all for it. Let's do the Jake Tube.
That cracks
Jakeness me up. Instead of greatness. Jakeness on Jake Tube.
It cracks me up. So, we have Jesse, our newest Patreon, asking who else is going to be a Patreon with her. I'm excited for the live radio. I wrote an article on our website today. I wanted to do a video, but I just can't. I can't do the voice stuff today. So I wrote a few articles on the website. One of them is about hosting the live show, why we were going to do it on Patreon or other subscription services first. It's just to sort of protect it, because there are trolls and they will try to sabotage. And if I put a phone number out there and just to have not the best way to screen people, it's and we're just starting out and testing it. So I just think it's more protected. I really want people to get good information out of these conversations. I think everyone in the community has a lot to offer, and we can have some really good constructive conversations without the interruptions of the outside world trying to interfere with the integrity of the conversation. So definitely, that's why we're doing it. And it's only $1 on Patreon. Or you could do it on, there's different, just go on the site.
We might be selling it too cheap, but we're not here to be rich off of this.
It's not really to sell it. I mean, the hosting a live call-in show, they charge per minute. There is a fee involved with the phone numbers, and eventually I would like to upgrade to an 800 number so more people can easily call in. There's a cost involved. There's a cost involved with our website and everything. So people who support us on Patreon are a huge help to us. Like recently, I had to renew all our domain names, and that was $80. And the Patreon members almost paid for that. So thank you. I mean, it takes a huge burden off of us, just something as much as just $1. It's crazy, but that's how it is with crowdfunding. Let's see. Sam Conley and Kat O'Neill, thank you for your super chats. Very kind. There's a few people that were laughing at my Cosmic Rays shirt. One, Jason recommended an AOC wearing like a gas mask hooked to a cow. So if I can try to design that, I'll try. Jake throws ideas in my lap, and creatively, somehow, I am magically able to produce and better what he's envisioned. So, I was telling people how I love my Cosmic Ray shirt. Anyway, I'm very creative. I like arts and all that. So, if you guys have t-shirt ideas, I love to hear the ideas. It cracks me up. So, I can't talk anymore, Jake.
That's all right.
Thank you guys in the chat. Love y'all.
I'm confusing Logan. He thinks there's a clone of me in the chat. Believe it or not, I'm multitasking here. I'm doing the broadcast. I've got my phone in my hands, and I am talking to you guys in the chat. I don't get to hang out in the chat that often, so at the end of the show, I do try to say hello to the people who I know I see on a regular basis. If you make a shirt that I buy too, AOC is a cow fart.
I will totally troll AOC and make a t-shirt.
Cow farts for
that
AOC.
That is next on my list.
I like it.
Totally fabricate. I can make it.
I like it.
We'll make it happen. Also, one more thing. We are running our live stream chat. And we have a lot of our special videos that we've done over the several years we've been on YouTube that we are trying to get exposed, since people new to the channel haven't seen them before, and it's just another way for people to listen to the video and enjoy talking to one another and have that sense of community. I'm gonna try to keep it up at least maybe like 7-8 hours a day. Jake, should we try? See how people like it?
Yeah.
Sometimes I just remove the video after it posts, not to confuse people from the other separate uploads that we have. People were asking where the live stream went from yesterday, and I just removed it because it's just 8 hours of all our videos like repeating while people enjoy the chat and commune together. So I don't know.
I think the cow fart AOC might be a hit, Mario. We gotta see what we can do with that. All right, guys, that's going to do it for us tonight. Thank you, everyone, for tuning into the Grand Solar Minimum channel for your evening Grand Solar Minimum news update. We'll be back live Friday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, and then our special call-in show on Saturday night at 8 p.m. In between that, Thursday morning and Friday morning, we will do our morning solar updates, as we have been for the past several days, live instead of doing the short little 2-minute video. I'll just do a quick little space weather update and give you guys your weather for the day. All right, thanks for tuning in once again. We will talk soon, guys. Take care.